Test 1 2 3 test. What up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Jazzy Talk. With me on this very special show, season 5 Jazzy finalist. What up, Neem? And so, how are you doing, Neem? Thanks for making the time to stop by Jazzy Talk so that we can talk some jazzy. And so, before we get started, congratulations on winning the
Thank you.
Jazzy Cactus League auto qualifier at the Gaming Zone. It was a very exciting tournament from the streamer's perspective. And so, because you won the auto qualifier, that means that you advance to the 16-player Jazzy Finale, which takes place in June 21st to 23rd, Akihabara Arcade. And so, Neiman, again, congratulations on your win, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Definitely. And I've been at work all day, but I've been looking forward to this interview. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for having me.
And so I want to start by talking
Glad
about
to be
the
off, I'm glad to be off work, dude.
yeah,
What's up?
yeah. I wanted to talk about the TGZ auto qualifier. It happened back in
Yeah.
February, and so now that
Yep.
you've had some time to reflect on your experience there, chat me up a little bit about the Cactus League auto qualifier and what it was like being there.
It was a sick event, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was really well done. Like seriously, like huge shout out. Um, like Ty, or I should say Rennick. Rennick hit me up. It's kind of out the blue one day, and he actually invited me to come to Phoenix. I really like honestly, like I wasn't initially planning on going to, or I originally wasn't planning on competing in one of the offline qualifiers. Um, just because like I was like, man, like my work's like really busy, so I was just like, like, do I really want to take the time off? I thought about it, but then I was just like, all right, well, there's another avenue there. Like I can try the online route. So that was the route that I was like initially going for. And then Ty just kind of like hit me up out the blue and like he invited me to Phoenix. And I thought about it. I thought about it for like a little while, and I was still like kind of on the fence. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, like let's do it. It had been a really like long time since I had competed in an offline tournament, and I just like wanted to get that experience and that feel again. So I'm really glad that I went. Rennick, Jizza, BMX, Bling. Like they were very gracious hosts. They did an S tier job, dude. Seriously, straight up. Like, I mean, I'm sure like, dude, like how Third Strike tournaments have been ran in the past, dude, and it was like nothing. It was nothing like that, dude. Like they were like really professional. Everything was like super on point. Everything was super on time. Cabs, like all the cabs felt good. And everybody was cool. Everybody brought it, like everybody like seriously brung it, man. So I'm glad I went, and I'm very happy, like taking the event, and I'm looking forward to Denver. So yeah, man.
Was that your first time in AZ?
First time. Um, no, my wife. I mean, like this was actually like during COVID. My wife and I, we took a road trip. We drove all the way from here, from NorCal. We drove to Texas. I actually like ended up meeting up with like Lance and Wax and Sonny and all like the Texas guys, or I should say the Dallas guys. I met up with them at Replay. But like just on the way to Texas, like we stopped like in various states, right? And so we stayed in Phoenix for a couple of days, which was nice. But like we were only like in the downtown part. So like I had never been to Tempe, Arizona. And like to be honest, I didn't really see much of it, dude. Like I literally just I flew in the day of, then flew back like early the next morning. So really I only saw my motel and the venue because I was in the venue like the entire day. So Um, yeah.
Tell me about your mindset going into the auto qualifier. You said that Ty invited you, and so shout outs to Rennick, longtime supporter of
Yeah.
3S. And so, what was your mindset going into the auto qualifier? Were you going there to kill, or were you going there to have a chill time? Or yeah, what was your approach going into the event?
I'm always I'm always going to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, like that is like my I'm going to my mindset is to win,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um I think you're at least for me, like I kind of go through various bouts where I have to like silence my inner talk, like so I mean like I feel confident, but there's always like lulls and like ups and downs and like I think that's the trick, or at least what I've been kind of like starting to figure out now is to like just really just like try to like just tell myself to really just shut up, because it's just like some voice. I don't know. I don't. I mean, like I've heard that some people don't really have like inner monologues, like I do, and it's kind of a journey, just learning how to like suppress that in the moments that you really need to. So, it's weird. Like I kind of like look, like you go back and you like rewatch the footage, and like you see yourself in the camera, and you kind of like remember like those moments of like, all right, I know exactly what I was saying to myself, and like what I was feeling, and you can practice this all day, like when you're when you're like playing at home, right? You're playing on Fightcade and you don't really get nervous, but when it's showtime, when it's lights, cameras, action, it's an entirely different like, so it's like you get those like it's a lot of pressure and nervousness and anxiety, and you really just have to kind of learn how to silence that. And I think I did an okay job, Uh Wax in the grand finals was really kind of getting my blood pressure going a little bit at one point. Shout outs to Ray. Uh, but I think I did an okay job with like really like kind of suppressing my inner thoughts. And it's just keep practicing, keep at it.
If you're talking about, so I guess you are one of these people that have a voice going on in your head, and you were talking about silencing it uh, at certain times. And so, like, are you talking about like during the actual match, or are you talking about like throughout the day, or both?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. Like I mean like throughout the day or like, you know, before the match, during the match, sometimes you can be feeling great and then just something happens, dude, that like doesn't go your way, doesn't matter. And then like, dude, I've played this game so much where like you can kind of like based off of like what happens, dude, like you can kind of read the next set of sequences. You can kind of feel what type of position you're in, and it's, when you get into like those oh fuck moments, like damn. And now you're like now the fear is kind of elevated. You have to learn how to like bring it back down. And I mean I talked about this on the last show, but again, just like I can say it a million times, but you have to really learn how to forgive yourself, like in the moment. Something bad happens. Okay, it happened. Move on. We can still play, just really learn how to like let go like immediately. Because I mean, if you hold on to that, if you keep thinking about that, like it's going to affect you. And like I feel like everybody's getting to the level now where like, dude, like I mean, like I'm feeling it, man. Like if I'm being honest, dude, like just I feel that like the average strength level from like a lot of players, man, like a lot of players have gotten stronger, dude. Just like within the last year and a half, there's no room. There's like a lot less room for error now, So you have to learn how to let that shit go immediately because something crazy happens, dude. You get knocked down, you got to get right back up because if you hold on to it, man, like you're gonna die, you know, like you will lose. So this game is becoming very knowledge based, but very spiritual based, at least for me as well. Just learning how to deal with my emotions and um, control them better. You know.
Yeah.
I don't have the secret sauce or anything like that, but I mean, I think I'm on page one at least.
Yeah.
That makes any sense.
No, it makes sense to me. You're talking about how the level of Third Strike. Are you referring to just overall or America or online? What do you what?
America,
Okay.
I mean, like at least the people that I'm playing, right? Like Americans, right? Like I mean, I play a pretty. I mean, I kind of know the regulars now on Fightcade, right? And at least the regulars that I've been playing with, they've all gotten stronger. Um, they definitely been hitting the weight. So, um, things aren't as um, I don't want to say easy, but like it's a lot more challenging now for me. Like I feel the strength of like a lot of people, and like that's a good thing. Like I'm glad that like a lot of people are improving and getting stronger because I think that's like what makes the game like a lot more fun. So, and again, too, like in tournament time, man, like first to two, dude, like first to two, man, is like it's wild, dude. Like if I'm being honest, I don't want to get too much into this, but I don't know if you caught the Ryan Hart talk that he did with Chris T not too long ago, but he actually talked about that format, the first to two format. Man, like I feel like it's kind of a wild format, like it can be so many quick swings and you don't really have too much time to adapt or to get like a lot of data on your opponent. So dude, you gotta come with it like immediately because you don't, again, like there's no room for error. So, you know, just taking all that and yeah, man.
You and me have been playing Third Strike. You've been playing Third Strike for almost 20 years, I think.
I started in '05, so yeah,
Yeah.
what's that, 19 years?
Yeah,
Wow.
so
That sounds crazy to say that out loud, man. Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
And I've been playing Third Strike since the start. And this is one of those conversations that used to come up even back in the day, the issue of format.
Yeah.
Um and so I always wondered like what exactly are we like agreeing or disagreeing on with regards to format, right? Like what makes first to two like better than first to three, or is it just a matter of because I always wondered like why do like what is the I don't know what you would call it, but like what is the criteria that people are using to like say okay first to three is better than first to two or first to like even when scenes decide sometimes arbitrarily like st right they have been doing first to three for years now and so like I always wondered like what is what are these arguments based on as far as like oh we do
Let
first to
me
three instead of first to two. I always wondered like what like in your mind like what makes like and let's just talk about third strike because I think that the type of game matters when we think about format, right?
no, no,
Y-
no, no, I disagree. Okay, let me ask you this.
but let's just
Let's
focus on
say,
third strike, right? So let's just focus on
okay,
third strike. Like to you in a tournament format, like what do you think is your ideal set count for something for a
I
game
mean,
like third strike?
do you want me to say like in a utopic world, like in my personal utopia, or just like what I see what could practically be done,
Yeah.
like kind of like the agreed upon medium, right? Because that's going to be two different answers. So,
So give me
like in
both.
my okay, so like in my fantasy world, right? I
Uh-huh.
think like I think that everything should be first to five,
Uh-huh.
right? But right, like that's a fantasy, right? That's not going to happen
Well,
like a large scale tournament, right? But I
yeah.
do think that I think that first to threes are doable, right? I would love to see maybe like first to threes in the pools, and then like we could do like a first to five for like grand finals, winners finals, and losers finals. Like if you think about it, dude, like first to fives don't really take that long, man. Like go on YouTube right now and look at like a first to five. Like just get like the do like a compilation, get an average of like get 10 first to five matches and get an average
Mm.
of those of those matches. Like each of those videos are like what 12 minutes, 14 minutes. I mean, it's a lot more than a first to two, but I think in the grand scheme of things, I think that first to fives are a lot more comprehensive, and it allows for an actual story to develop within the match. Like it allows for the movie. Well, I don't even want to call it a movie, right? Like I think the first to 10 would be figuratively speaking an entire movie, right? You get to see the movie from start to finish, right? There's a beginning, and then you see the middle of the movie where there's an adaptation, and then finally, the winner or the victor. We see how the ending plays out. We see how both players end up adapting. I mean, I know there's like varying opinions to this, but like me personally, like in my opinion, I don't think that first to two, like, it's not a movie, dude. It's a commercial, you know. Um, it's just not enough time, and again, like I understand there's a lot of logistics that come into play, so that's fine. Like you're not gonna hear me like complain about it. I'm just saying like ideally, like I think like at least like first to threes would be a step in the right direction, right? If we could standardize first to threes in pool play, man, I think that one extra match, dude, can like, dude, how many times, dude, have you like played somebody, let's say, like just in a first to 10, first to 20, whatever, and like you lose the first 10 matches, or the first two matches, and then after you're like, oh, and then like you beat them like five straight, six straight, like whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm sure like a lot of people have experienced that, right? But with first to twos, you'll never know, right? And again, like the polar opinion could be, well, you just didn't adapt fast enough. You know, I mean, sure, that's fine. Again, I just think that it's a very short amount of data. Um, like I like to see how a story develops, right? I don't just like play cut over. Like that's just like me. That's just like who I am as a person. And that I think longer sets just resonate with me a lot more. But I'm gonna rock with whatever. Whatever the tournament's doing. They do it to single game, then fuck it. Like I gotta play single game. But I would like first to threes minimum. But you know.
So, so you were saying that first to threes would be in the right direction, and your ideal set count would be first to five, and so you prefer longer sets. And
Yep.
you were saying how like longer sets allow a story to develop, and so and then you were saying how well shorter sets you just adapt faster, and so like I wanted to ask, why do you think the Japanese, whenever they do singles, and Evo is coming up in a few weeks, and from what I know, the format's going to be American format. I think first to two, first to three, top eight. But for the longest time, whenever Japan does single tournaments, not only is it a single game, but it's single elim. And so, why do you think the Japanese go with that?
Man, I have no clue. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, does that do something? Does that alter your brain or your perspective somehow?
Well,
Maybe it does.
I think you kind of answered that question already, because you were talking about how some people might argue that first to twos, the and I guess what we really are debating here is like, what is, like, in our mind, what is, to me, the hallmark of a great fighting game player. Uh, and
Yeah.
so when I think about this debate over sets, to me, I see it as a debate between, the words that you mentioned, and that's adaptation, right? And so I feel like it all centers around that concept of adaptation when it comes to the debate over long or short sets, because like you mentioned earlier, someone could just argue, okay, well, shorter sets, help train us to adapt faster, to think more on our feet, to and so I guess it really all depends on like, what is it that we're trying to emphasize when it comes to being a great fighting game player. Because there is an argument to be made that these shorter sets, and I think part of the reason, and I'm just speculating here, but I think part of the reason why Japan does first to one single limb is because they do all other sorts of different formats in
Sure.
Japan. And again, for people listening and are not too familiar with third strike scene, anytime a third strike player talks about Japan, more times than not, they're talking about Tokyo. They're talking about a certain area in Japan. Yes, there are strong third strike players outside of Tokyo, but anytime, usually we talk about third strike in Japan, we're talking about Tokyo. But, they're all close together. They had different venues throughout the history. They ran different formats. And so, I think, because they always ran all these different things, single game maybe was their way of going, okay, let's because when we think about like other sports, right? And when we think about all of the training and preparation, the Olympics are this summer in Paris. And I think about some of these sports, like when you watch them, they're just like that, right? Like the actual competition of it. But think about how many years some of these athletes, dedicate. They dedicate their entire lives to training for those few minutes, or even
Sure.
sometimes in some sports, those few moments to perform, like you said, when it matters. And so, I think it really
Yeah.
all depends on, kind of what exactly, and I do like your argument about the story, right? And that's more of like from a viewer standpoint. Longer sets, viewers, to me, like longer sets, I think, you know, benefit the viewer. Because, like you were saying, the viewer is able to, you know, see more matches, be more entertained. Because at the end of the day, that's also what keeps fighting games, not just Stir Strike, but other fighting games alive, right? Their entertainment value. So, I definitely like your the way you explained it, how you like longer sets because it's like a story.
Let me ask you this. You watch a basketball game, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if all of a sudden the NBA changed the format of basketball games and they're like, we're gonna make the games one quarter now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that would be crazy.
Yeah.
People would be like, what the hell? Like that, what is that gonna so you telling me the person that wins at the end of the first quarter is like there's no story. What happens in a professional boxing match? Oh, it's not gonna be 12 3-minute rounds. It's gonna be two 3-minute rounds. Again, like there's no I just think like again, like anything in life, man, we have to get some type of drawn out data to really determine,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like this guy, this person really won. It wasn't a fluke, right? It eliminates the doubt, right?
Mm.
It eliminates the naysayers. Of course, like, okay, let me tell you this. Okay, let's do an example. Let's say I play Kuroda in a first to one and I beat him. No one's gonna say, "Oh, Neem beat Kuroda, like he's better." Dude, it was one game, right? Like now, again, this is hypothetically speaking. Let's say if I played him in a first to 10, right? And let's say hypothetically I beat him, then people would be like, "Oh shit," right? So like, there's definitely a higher it goes, the more just the more true it gets because you keep doing it, right? Like you're able to intake a certain set of data, you respond to that, you read the data and then you respond to it accordingly. Sometimes, dude, like with some players, man, like I don't really know understand this yet, but some players, man, they just take a little bit more preheating or a little bit more warming up to like get used to, at least like in my opinion, right? Some players like I think it really just kind of like determines like what your natural style is and if it matches up well against somebody else. But like some people, man, like the default patterns and like the default things that I look for with some players, it doesn't match up with them well naturally. So like have you ever gotten hit like you'll play somebody and then like you just get hit with a bunch of like wonky shit and you're like, dude, I'm not supposed to be getting hit by that. That's because like I think that's because like just your natural patterns, the things that you look for first naturally, whatever it is that they're doing, it's beating that, right? Because they're doing the things that you're not looking for. And again, this is literally I'm just explaining like adaptation, but I like to see that play out, right? I like to see how the player I'm not even just talking about myself. Like I like to see stories, you know? Some people don't care about it as much, but I like watching stories, right? And I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer. Like I'm not saying that somebody that likes the first to one or first to two format, I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying like what I naturally resonate more with, you know? And I think that's just gonna. I think that's just like what the answer is. It's just like what do people prefer? You know, like what's the consensus of the entire community? I mean, like, are they cool with first to twos? Like, would they like first to threes? I mean, eventually, I think that's what it's gonna come down to at the end of the day. You know, but everybody has their own personal preferences. You know.
Yeah, just to kind of comment real quick on kind of like who decides. I really think it should be the players,
Yeah, I agree.
and
I
so
agree.
because they're the ones that are going to be competing. Uh,
Yeah.
but again, yeah, you have to take into account logistics. But I wanted to kind of go back to your. I was wondering if you were going to bring up boxing as an analogy, because when you think about it, boxing is even more harsh than say something like, well, I mean, not I'm not talking about obviously physically, but I'm talking about the like we were talking about the
Format.
number of sets, right? Like yes, there are 10 rounds or 12 rounds in a boxing match, but remember the boxing match can end within seconds.
Yeah. There's always a threat of
So it's
instant knockout.
so
Correct.
it's actually
Yeah.
more, it's more unforgiving than say, like
Yeah.
a first to two. And
Sure.
yeah, and like what you were talking about with the Kuroda thing, like that's that word fluke. Like I don't know. Again, everyone's different, like you said. But when I play Third Strike, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying about forgiving yourself. Uh, if you know, yes, obviously there are players that are stronger, more accomplished, more skilled than others. But anytime I go, like I used to go into a tournament match, or when I still go in a tournament match, you know, I'm always of the mindset that and it's kind of a weird kind of give and take here, but I'm always of the mindset that whatever doesn't go my way, it's ultimately my fault. I am responsible for any
Yeah.
damage that I incur during this
Yeah.
round.
Absolutely.
Um, and there's pros and cons to that approach, but like that approach, at least just personally, allows me to, man, I don't want to use the E word, man, but I don't have no other word to use. But like it kind of prevents me from making excuses in my head, right? And I'm not saying that I don't. We're all human, especially us playing Third Strike for a long time. But I do think the one great thing about playing Third Strike for as long as we have, I don't know about you, but it's you know like if you do continually improve, like I feel like maybe it depends, but like I feel like that frustration, like like the situation you were describing where you play someone quote unquote random and they do random things to you. I feel like over time I've become less and less bothered by that, if that makes sense. I don't know if that applies with you too, but yeah, that's just kind of my mindset. Like during a round, hey, I got hit by something like you said wonky. Well, that's on me. That's not on, you know.
You know what? Like, let me just like really quickly
Mhm.
rephrase what I said.
Yeah.
Like what I'm not saying is that like the whole thing like oh my style naturally doesn't
Mhm.
like I didn't mean to imply that like somebody doing something random
Yeah.
like they're a bad player.
Mhm.
I just mean like again, yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right, right? It doesn't matter if it's a first to one or first to two format. It could be one round, right? Like if you get hit by something, you get hit by something. Like you lost those series of engagements,
Mhm.
right? But the regardless, I like to see the story, right? Like it could be, like what if I go up against an opponent and um, like maybe at the beginning I'm not doing like that well, or like maybe I am doing really well. Maybe I 3-0 the person. Maybe like it doesn't matter. I want to see the story because like you said, a first to one, everybody's gonna say that's a fluke, right? Like I mean, at least here in America, like if somebody does something crazy against an upset, everybody's gonna say, "Oh, he can't." You know what they're gonna say? They're gonna say, "I bet you he can't do it again." And like, are they wrong? Like are they wrong? Right? Like, it, again, you can silence that with a longer set, right? And so again, like I'm not implying that anybody doing something random or something that like if I feel that I shouldn't have got hit by something, like I'm not saying they suck. I'm just saying, damn, I want to see the movie. I want to see what he does to adjust to, to adjust to whatever it is that the opponent is doing. And you don't really get that, in my opinion, in short sets. You get that, you get to see the full thing play out with longer sets. That's all I'm trying to say. I like to watch movies, man. Like I watch
No, I
movies
get
all the
it.
times.
I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, some people like, the quick hitting stuff. Some people like to,
yeah,
kind of enjoy
yeah,
it. Eh, And I think a
yeah,
testament to like the greatness of a game like Third Strike is I think you can enjoy it in both ways, right? Like you can enjoy long
yeah,
sets like the first to tens that Game Newton used to run for Third Strike. Those were
yeah.
amazing, especially for like the amount of, knowledge that you can gain from those sets. And so it's
Mhm.
enjoyable to watch first to tens like during the pandemic when Matsuda was running those first to tens instead of Coop. Or we can, or Third Strike is great when it's, the stakes are high and, you don't have a whole lot of time like Coop, single limb. Third
Yeah.
Strike is exciting that way too. And I think that really is a hallmark.
Sure.
That I
Yeah,
think
it
that
is. It
shows
is.
why the game is
It
so
is.
great.
Yeah. You know what? We got to do the ultimate format. Is the end all be all. We got to do the first to 100. You ever done one of those before?
Are we doing a Third Strike Iron Man tournament? That would be. Have you ever heard of the Iron
My
Man? Have
God.
you ever heard of the Iron Man where you
I know.
swim
I
and
know
then
what
run?
Iron Man
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
do like a Third Strike version of the Iron Man.
I've done first to 100s twice.
Oh
I
man.
will never do that again, dude. That was 6 hours straight.
Mm.
Both times I did it versus Kyokuji from Toronto, and like we didn't plan it or anything, dude. Like it just started off as a normal set, and like
Yeah.
eventually, like 3 hours in, we were just like, oh shit, man, this is turning into a first, and we just like fuck it. We're already climbing up the mountain. We might as well just finish it, you know?
Yeah.
Never again, though. I'm not doing that anymore, man.
Yeah. Like I don't want to like offend anyone, but I don't know. And I guess it really depends on preference, but I don't think you could get anyone to sit through a first to 10 in CVS2. Like like that's a really
Yeah,
long like like
yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty long or some other game, I don't know. But I definitely think a game matters and I think the fact that you could enjoy Third Strike in all these different ways shows just how
Let me
great
ask
it
you
is.
this. How about this? What if how you want to know something else that would really kind of shake things up? I think, in my opinion, what if we kept the first two format, but we make the matches 3 rounds instead of
Oh
two
no. See,
rounds? Right?
that would change the meta too much.
That,
It
that
would
changes
completely change
that
the
changes
game.
a whole
It
lot, dude.
completely
Like
changes the
that
meta.
one round does like so much, you know?
Especially because such a lot of high level Third Strike rely on meter management. Oh, it's just
Yep,
gonna be
yep.
all wonky, like you said. It just going to 3 rounds. That's gonna be tough.
But
Although,
I mean, Tekken does three
yeah.
rounds.
But
Like
that would be a cool
again,
side event to do.
I know, right?
Maybe we can do it at the Jazzy
Yeah.
finale. Do like a quick single limb.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's normal? Why do you think that's normal in Tekken and not normal in Street Fighter?
Man, I don't
Is it
know.
because strictly the meter? You think it's just the meter? Like
I don't know.
nobody talks about this. I've never heard
Yeah,
anybody
you're
bring
right.
this up. Right?
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Tekken gets 3 rounds. We only get two. You know?
I mean,
Where's my third round, man?
like you said, maybe it's how quickly the game goes, or the damage levels, or the mechanics, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think in a lot of games, there's a lot of I mean, in Third Strike, there are a lot of characters that can kill you in the matter of seconds, but usually they need meter or something. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I wanted to talk
There's
more.
always
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead. No, you got it. You got it.
No,
You
no, no.
got
You
it.
go.
No, yeah, I was saying like there's always um a set of circumstances that you have to earn in order to
Yeah,
do like some touch of death or something like that.
yeah,
It's not like how in six, like you just automatically start out the gate and can fucking take somebody half. Oh, I don't want to get into that,
yeah,
but yeah, let me stop.
yeah. So before we you know go further and further away from Third Strike, I wanted to just talk about 2024. It's a special year, 25th anniversary of Third Strike, 20th 25th anniversary of Third Strike, 20th anniversary of Evo Moment 37, which we talked about in my own podcast. I don't know if you remember, but I think you told me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the story you told me is that it was your mom who showed you the clip of Evo 37. Was that
Wait,
it? Or
what?
no, was that it? Or no, that might have been someone else. Or who showed you the clip of Evo Moment
Yo,
37? I could have sworn someone told me that story. It might not
my
have been
mom
you, but
taught me how to play Third
no, no,
Strike.
no, 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 that someone showed you the clip of Evo Moment 37, or was it?
No, no, no,
I'm trying to think of this. Who told me that story? Someone told me a
no.
story that their parent or their
Right.
mom or someone showed them a clip of Third Strike. I might have forgotten who
No,
it was.
so I mean, like I got into Third Strike from the Daigo from Moment 37, but I like came across it just by myself on the
Oh yeah, yeah,
internet
okay.
after I had played at Super Arcade.
Somebody told
Dude,
me that story.
that would be so crazy.
Someone, I don't know
Your
if it was
mom
on a
showed you.
podcast. I could have, my mistake. I'm getting really old, but
No, you're
anyway,
fine, dude.
someone told me that story. When you hear so many stories, you get it all mixed
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. Just kind of blur together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you've been playing Third Strike for 19 years,
Yep.
2024, 25th anniversary of Third Strike, 20th anniversary of Evo Moment 37. You're competing in Jazzy. Third Strike's going to be at Evo. When you look back on just kind of all the time you spent on Third Strike, I mean, what are some of the things, that come to mind when you kind of look back at, you know, all of the time that you spent, playing the game, what are some of your thoughts on that?
I'm grateful to have found Third Strike, right? Like sometimes I ask myself, you know, like, Third Strike is one of the passions that I have in my life. Of course I have like my family and whatnot, but in terms of like things that like I like to do, like Third Strike has been like I never really told too many people about this, but I actually like for like a really long time, I had two major passions in my life. One was Third Strike, but even before that, I was like really into like DJing, like specifically like competitive like battle DJing. I don't know if anybody's familiar with like DMC or ITF, like those. They're like these DJ battle circuits where you do like scratching, beat juggling. It's like really competitive, really technical. Um, those were like my two like biggest hobbies, when I was younger, and I did the DJing thing for a while, but I kind of like lost touch with it. I stopped liking it. I fell out of love with it, right? But I've Third Strike has been like in terms of my hobbies, it's been my most consistent hobby. It's been a passion. I mean, I've learned a lot from it. I've learned a lot about myself. You know, it's been a like just a huge. It's been a consistent teacher in my life, I guess. Just things you learn in the game and out of the game, right? And not all of it's good. Like there's definitely times where you struggle or you have like emotional turmoil. Dealing with anything, right? But I'm grateful to have been able to pick up this game. It's inspired a lot of confidence in myself and other endeavors in my life, right? It's like, if I can get strong at this, like the blueprint is the same for anything else in life. If you want something, you just have to put in the work. There will be times where you will struggle, but if you're consistent with just staying with it, like you'll learn tech, you'll learn the tech for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in your life, and the lessons never stop, dude. Like, doesn't matter, like, oh, like I'm good now, I'm strong. I can bench, 300 pounds, and it like it never stops, dude. Because like one day you're gonna wake up like, man, like I want to bench 325, and like it's gonna be a new journey for you to take, and somebody's gonna come across, and you're gonna like learn some more lessons. So you know, I just think it's been a good teacher, and like I'm looking forward. I'm definitely looking forward to this. Man, this is such a huge year for Third Strike, man. I'm really glad the way that Third Strike is looking right now. Um, I don't really have anything I'm just looking to play, man. I'm really excited for Jazzy, excited for Evo. Um, I hope that everybody comes and shows out at Jazzy this year. It's already looking pretty hot so far. Uh, I don't know if you guys heard, but the previous Jazzy champion, Exodus, has stated that he's going to be showing up. So, I'm looking forward to spanking him in person.
Breaking news.
What up, Kay?
According to your
I say
sources,
that.
according to your
I say
sources,
that in jest.
Exodus
Kay is my voice.
is
That's my
coming to
voice.
the finale to defend his. There hasn't been a back to back. There's so many parallels between Jazzy and basketball. I've told people so many times how big of a basketball fan I am, and so
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
now we have this storyline who can do it back to back. And so if
Hey,
EXO does come back,
if he can do it, if he can do it, man, that would be great, man. Like, more kudos to him.
yeah,
I'm just glad to see everybody, like, really though, like in all seriousness, I'm just glad to see that, it's like, dude, like, we're all older now, man. Like, we all got work and families. It's not like how it was when we were all younger and most of us were like unemployed, right? It's like we all have like real obligations, real priorities now. But I'm glad to see that we all can still take the time, come out and like really compete, because like competition. I think I would say now, man, like a lot of us, like regardless of like what goes on like behind the scenes or egos or rivalries or shit talk, blah blah blah, what have you, dude. I think like we're all competitive at heart, and it's fun to be in a competitive setting. It really spices things up and just like the other mundane aspects of life. And I'm glad to hear that people are coming out and showing out. So I'm gonna be looking forward to Denver.
yeah. So let's talk more about the Jazzy finale. You had mentioned, according to your sources, Exodus may be making a return to the
That's what I
finale
heard. He
this
said it in
year.
Discord, but yeah,
So
you
EXO is
know
the
how
source
Kane is.
himself. The source himself is EXO. Okay.
Yeah.
So uh, there are two other players who have already qualified for the Jazzy finale.
Yep,
Amir, who won a Jazzy Barcode. We are gonna
yep.
have Amir on. Actually, might as well go ahead and announce it. But we are gonna have Amir on a future episode of Jazzy Talk. I think in a couple weeks. I think on the 23rd, on the 16th next week, we're gonna have Zaffo, To of Fight Kingdom, here to make one last shill push for Fight Kingdom. Have you seen those trophies that Zaffo made?
No, I haven't seen them yet. Are they nice?
They're shaped as Astro Cities or Blast Cities. I don't know which one, but they're like
Ooh,
actual
what?
candy cap trophies. I
Ooh,
know.
that's sick. Dude, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, like me, like I want a belt, but I definitely, dude, I would not mind having a golden Astro City trophy
Yeah.
sitting on my office desk, dude. That would be sick, man.
Yeah. The belt
Really
is
good
cool
idea.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so Amir qualified because of winning Jazzy Barcode. And then most recently, over at Logan, or not Logan, excuse me, but UFO, Arcade UFO, Big Nasty finally uh, you know, made it and won an auto qualifier
Yep.
after,
Yep. Good
like
shit to him.
he qualified in
Congrats.
season one and then, he struggled, but, stuck to his guns and beat DJ Isco of Urian. But,
That's
but at least we get to see the Hugo, Big Nasty's Hugo at the Jazzy finale. And so,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about Amir and Big Nasty. Looking forward to playing. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you hopefully play them. But when you think about the two players alongside yourself who've qualified so far, like have you been kind of thinking about that or not really, or
Off and on,
Mhm.
right? Like I mean, like I'm really just trying to see. So first, let me say, Amir, you
Beast,
know,
beast, beast.
nothing needs to be said
Yeah.
about that.
Well, you and I
All
came up in SoCal, right? So
yeah,
Amir was a legend 20 years ago,
yeah, the Hall of Famer,
and
right?
oh yeah, first
Nothing like
ballot for sure. First
You say
ballot
the
for
name
sure.
Amir. You say the name Amir. That just commands
Yeah,
respect, right? Like
yeah.
shout out to Amir. Nasty. I mean, like, dude, like, like I haven't. So I there was a period of time when Big Nasty and I were playing each other on Fightcade fairly often. I have not played him in quite a while. I mean, I've been seeing him on a little bit more often, but again, dude, like I've definitely seen the improvement, right? You know, I did catch a little bit of the Texas qualifier. Saw him putting in crazy work, right? So, you know, like I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect from Nasty, you know? Like I'm sure I mean, like clearly he's been in the gym, so you know, if I got to fight him, I'm looking forward to it, you know? Like I'm always looking forward to like any type of challenge, you know? I welcome it and I'm sure he's going to bring it. So, you know, good shit to him and see you in the top 16, buddy, you know?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So Amir mains Chun, and of course, no sparring partner can quite, duplicate what Amir Chun does.
Right.
But at
Yeah.
least you get a lot of Chun players. But as far as Hugo players, especially on someone like Nasty's level, like you were saying, right? Like you hadn't played him in a while. Like what is your approach usually when you know that you're going to play, say someone like Nasty, and he uses this, rare character, somewhat rare character, especially
Yeah.
at high level.
Yeah.
Like, what is your like approach to preparing for that?
There's no like there's no I mean like again I'm gonna be honest like I don't there's no formula like I don't I go in there and like I just do my thing, right? You
Hmm.
know, and it's like hopefully the way that it plays out is that the way that I play, like I'm able to read something against my
Hmm.
opponent, regardless of who the character is, and I'm able to win. You know, I'm gonna give you an example, right? So, like, you want to talk about rare characters? You know who's been playing? You know who's been playing Third Strike a little bit more lately? Alex Valle,
Oh yeah,
dude.
the 12.
This dude,
Yeah.
this dude is playing 12. Okay, never in my life. I remember like I played 12. Dude, I'd say in the past 5 years, excluding Alex Valle, I've probably played 12 twice against a 12 opponent. Right. And I was like, yeah, man, this character is dog shit. And like today, I think the character is now upgraded to a level above dog shit, right? Like uh, but man, does he make that fucking match? I think like the first time I played him, like I was expecting to kill him, right? And dude, it was dude, I was like, dude, what the fuck's going on, man? I can't even. I'm literally chasing this fool. Like this dude is flying left and right. It took a little bit to like really kind of adjust and understand how the match is to be played, but like I'm just saying this in general, man. Like you know, like I don't think anybody is just going to like go into a match and like automatically just like learn something new, right? It's like we just do what we know and like you know I don't want to use the term hope for the best, but we just do what we know and either it works out and we're able to like download and understand the match within a first to two format or we lose, you know, like that's just how it goes. I think with a player like Big Nasty, you know, like he's very good at landing Gigas Breaker. Um, you know, when he gets that, it's pretty much what's going to happen. Like if I have to play any Hugo, right, I'm gonna play you at a certain tempo, and then as soon as you get that meter, you get close to meter, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna make you work very hard. So, or maybe not. Maybe not. Like maybe I'll be able to read something where I feel comfortable enough where I don't have to make you work hard. I can strong arm you, but I don't want to go too much into that. But
Hmm.
um, again, dude, like Nasty is sick, man. Like he's a great player. You know, dude, he can rip that Gigas on anybody. So you got to stay on your toes, and you better fucking bring your best shit against him. Anybody that makes it into the top 16, right? Like nobody is coming to lay down. So, um, yeah, my philosophy against Big Nasty or anybody, right? Like I'm coming with the same tenacity, the same hunger, right? You know, I have I'm coming to win. So, and I'm coming straight for you. So, you know, uh, get ready, man.
Yeah. Couple thoughts about the nasty thing. Maybe that wasn't such a great example because you used to be a Hugo main. So you have some
Once
familiarity
upon
with
a time.
the character once upon a
Yeah,
time, but sometimes I
once upon
see
a
you
time.
still rocking that Hugo. I could
Uh,
understand why you still kind of play it on and off, and Ken is like you were
yeah,
talking about tempo, right? Like
yeah,
sometimes it
yeah.
could be nice to switch it up. But like speaking of which, you were talking about your game plan against Hugo, and I think that's the one thing when I was watching the VODs of the Jazzy UFO event. To me, that's one of the things that I think Nasty has really improved on, and that is, recognizing that, yeah, um, strong players. A lot of times it depends on who you're playing, but usually strong players will be a little bit safer when Hugo has meter, going to try and make sure that
Mm.
they stay outside the range of that Gigas. And I think what Nasty has done is, has done a really good job of working on that second part of the matchup, like you were saying, right? You're gonna play at your
Got to,
tempo,
man.
but once he gets meter, you gotta stay away, and you gotta play a little safer. And Caesar has done a really good job of learning, how to take calculated risks and continue to go after you.
Yeah,
Um, like if I say, buffer low parry in this range, you know, maybe a few things can hit me, but I want to try and minimize the amount of damage I incur as I continue to keep pressure on you. And I think that's one of the things that Caesar has gotten really strong at. Partly because
yeah,
playing, really high level players that are so good at keeping away.
yeah. Pressure bust pipes, man.
Yeah.
Pressure turns into diamonds, right?
Yeah.
And like something like again, like Hugo, mid tier character, maybe lower mid character,
Yeah.
right? But once you again, like, and this is a very hard barrier to get past. Like I was watching the Hayao versus Neiman match.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I watched that. And it's like now, dude, like, man, I watched that match this morning actually before I went to work.
Hmm.
And like I I played Hugo. Man, I hated that matchup. Hugo versus Makoto. And I watched him play that this morning. And I'm like, dude, this dude is controlling every like um vector of like approach. And the thing is like, yeah, it's easier to hit Hugo, but when you're playing it like that, like he has a ground ender, right? And like, dude, that he can rip that at any time. So again, like when you're playing somebody, again, you playing somebody like Nasty, man, you better make sure you don't get hit by that move, man, because it's gonna kill you.
Hmm.
Um, and I definitely see him being able to threaten. It's not even just about being able to rip that Gigas from many different types of scenarios, but also being able just to threaten the Gigas to make them do something else. You know, um, dude, it's like you can hit Hugo 10 times, but he just needs that one. And it's like when you can turn the match into something like that, it's really scary. You know, so it's kind of like the boxer versus Francis. No, I don't want to say Francis Ngannou, right? But the boxer versus like the super slow dude that can KO you with one punch. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
That yeah. That big punch power. That big boy damage.
shotgun blast, dude. Yep, yep.
So, what would it mean to you to win Jazzy this year?
Uh, dude, I mean, I've been playing the game for almost 20 years, dude. Like
Hmm.
getting a Jazzy title under my belt will mean a lot. It will be a just a major accomplishment in my life. Again, like Third Strike has been one of my passions. I've played this game since I was 15 years old, man. Ran ran through, like practically every arcade when I was younger growing up in Southern California, right? Like Super Arcade was my home, was my second home, right? But, like I've spent so much time, again, like I've spent so much time playing this game, man, and kind of getting like a major title like that under my belt. Dude, I think it's obvious, man. Like who wouldn't feel good winning a major tournament in anything, right? It would feel great. It would feel excellent. I would feel that like a lot of the time that I've invested in is paid off. Um, and yeah, it would be something that I could, maybe even tell my kids about in the future. Who knows if they would care? I don't know if they would care about it or not. Maybe they would think it's cool, but it would definitely be a story that I could tell at dinner time. Maybe my grandkids. Hey, when I was in my 30s, I actually won a really big video game tournament. Okay, Grandpa. But
The
yeah,
trick
dude,
is
it
to
would be
display the belt somewhere
yeah,
so that
just have
they
it.
will ask you about it,
Yep,
right?
yep,
The
yep,
bait.
exactly.
Yeah. Uh so you mentioned Evo. You said you were excited about Evo, and so uh are you planning to attend Evo and compete in Third Strike?
Of course, man.
Yeah.
Of course, dude. Like, yeah, I'm going to both, man.
Yeah.
Going Jazzy. Like again, dude. Like this is like again, like this is like what a crazy year the Third Strike, right? It's like we got Jazzy, everybody coming out to Jazzy, and then literally 1 month later we have Evo, right? And Evo is like bringing back. It's almost like I've heard this term where people go like they go, oh yeah, like Third Strike constantly like it always dies and then it like resurges where it comes. See this for like a lot of other games, like maybe that's necessary for a community where like I was talking about this with some other people and like it's just crazy, man. Like Third Strike is like where are the other communities at? Like where like for the games like Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, nobody's really playing those games like that anymore, right? Like everybody just kind of gravitates to like the new hype or the new train, whatever it is, right? But very rarely do you have games that have communities that withstand the test of time, right? Street Fighter 2 has, right? But I think the other big one is Third Strike. So um, I just think it's a great thing, man. I'm glad to be part of the scene, and it's glad to I'm glad to know that like we've stood the test of time, right? I want to see it grow even more. Like I feel like we've been getting a lot of converts from different games for whatever reason. And I feel like a lot of melee players have been gravitating over to Third Strike. So new blood. I'm curious. Like it's like with Jazzy, right? Like it's going to be like a concentrated. Jazzy is going to be like concentrated the best players in America, right? I'm curious to see how Evo is going to be. Like I'm curious to see how big the um like how many entrants, like how many people that are like curious about Third Strike or people that are coming from Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6 or other games and like expecting to like oh yeah I'm gonna go to Street Fighter, I'm gonna go to Universe 3 and handle business, right? They're gonna get spanked real fast, right? Because you know Universe 3 is a whole different ball game. But um yeah, dude, like I said, it's a big year for Third Strike, and I'm ready for it, man.
You kind of already talked about it already, how newer players are picking up on the game. And so when you look at beyond 25 years of Third Strike, like what comes to mind when you think about the future of the game?
That's a good question. I mean, what I don't know. 'Cause, 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 'cause Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Music?
can. Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you. We can hear you. Yeah.
Um, I don't know, man. Like that. I mean, can anybody speculate like what where they're gonna be at 10 years from now? I mean,
Well,
like
I mean, where
I
would you like to see? I guess maybe where would you like to see the future of Third Strike
what would I
go?
like to see? I would like to see Jazzy still going. I would like to see more high stakes events for um for Third Strike. I feel like now, like okay, like what like okay, you know how um Capcom Cup did the $1 million tournament. I mean, do I think that's feasible with Third Strike? No. But I would like to see more. I think anything high stakes, it kind of attracts more people, right? That would bring in new players. Um,
Well,
I really like the
you don't
format.
have 100K to throw in to a Third Strike.
Man,
We just need to
I
find 10
swear,
people in the Third Strike scene that can throw in 100K, and we got $1 million
I know
prize
it's a
pool.
couple. I know it's a couple of them. It's a couple of them
You know, people.
that's making a shitload of money.
It's more than I know.
But but like even think about it. Like look at the format. Like you know, it's a really cool, like well produced tournament.
Hmm.
I really like the Red Bull
Hmm.
tournament that just happened like a month ago or something like that. Like it was a decent amount of people. It wasn't like in like some giant stadium or something like that. But I really liked kind of like the Kumite setup where like everybody is surround, like the two fighters are in the middle, and then everybody kind of surrounds them. It was a lot more like intimate, but it was like super like concentrated, super like impactful. Like I like seeing stuff like that. I like seeing I think like when you can like kind of execute like high quality production events like that, it really kind of insight. It really kind of like attracts more people and gets people like more interested. Like, hey, like, what's that? This looks kind of cool. And I think the thing that Third Strike has going for it is I don't know what it is, man. Like, like with other games, right? Like with Street Fighter 6, even like for the Red Bull event, right? Like everybody, all the spectators are like watching on the outer circle, and then the two players are in the middle. I think there's just something kind of like, I know this is gonna sound really corny, but they're playing on like consoles, right? I think it just looks a lot more sacred and just a lot more like higher. I know this may ruffle some feathers, but it looks more like higher class, like when you're playing like on a cabinet, right? It just looks sicker, So I was like, man, like what if we had some format like that, but like we have a head to head, or we have like the cab setups. Like, dude, that would be so sick, And then we have like some kind of like, again, big price pot. If you have any millionaires watching, the Third Strike community will definitely appreciate a large, generous donation on your behalf. Thank you very much. Um, but I don't know. I think that would be really cool. I would like to see more events like that.
Yeah.
You know, if Jazzy, if like somebody hypothetically, if somebody donated 100K to Jazzy, right? Like that would be sick. That would be sick for Jazzy to put on like a high production quality event because, you know, um, I do think that like again like I think that we're gonna have to figure out a way to keep attracting new blood, right? Because a lot of us are getting older. So I think that's just kind of the big thing is how do we keep attracting new players to I feel like dude, like once you get bit by the third strike bug, dude, like you're hooked, man. You are officially you're a crackhead now. But like how do we sell the drugs to these new potential addicts? Like I don't know.
By the way,
I don't
Neiman
know,
is
man.
open for sponsorships to Evo. if you, if anyone's listening, if any corporate, sponsors want to support Neiman so that he can sell crack, the crack that is Third Strike at Evo. Uh, that's a good that's a good pitch there. No, I totally agree with you. Like but it's like that faith, right? And I don't know. Maybe it's because we're biased. Like who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
we
for
just
sure.
can't. Maybe the Third Strike scene, it's just some giant echo chamber, and we're just kind of reaffirming what we already think, and that's Third Strike is a great game. But you know, you have pointed out things that might suggest otherwise, right? Like players coming from other games playing Third Strike,
Yeah.
and so I definitely think that really is something special about the game. And you were talking about competing at Evo, and so like as a top player, as a champion, as someone who represents the hardcore Third Strike community, what would it mean for you to either do really well at Evo, make top 8, or even win Evo?
Dude, how sick would it be to win Jazzy and then win Evo
That's what I was
back to
saying.
back? Oh my
Pretty
God.
nuts.
Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, again, major tournaments, right? These are
But
high
Evo might
high
have a lot
profile
of different
tournaments, right? A
players.
lot of high,
Yeah. Yeah, Evo might have
yeah.
a diverse collection. Like the Japanese are probably going to
Yeah.
to compete at
I've heard the
American
whispers.
Evo. Yeah.
I've heard the whispers. Like like we know the Japanese are coming, right? And that's good, dude. I welcome it. I highly welcome it. Again, like who wants to win a tournament of that caliber, right? Okay, think about it like this, right? Remember how, like again, like in the past, like from the Third Strike community standpoint, like the Third Strike community has not really recognized Evo as a major, like as some as like a major definer of like um you know this is something that like this determines the I'm like totally losing my train of thought. It hasn't been like the biggest tournament for Third Strike, right? Like it hasn't been like the most respected tournament from the Third Strike community, like regardless of like the politics and the lore behind it. But now I think like this is kind of like a redemption arc and a way for the Third Strike community and Evo to kind of like make amends, right? And it's being done. It's being done at a huge level, right? And dude, I personally I want to see all the Japanese come, man. Like I want everybody. I want the strongest of the strongest to be there. I'm gonna bring my shit. I hope they bring their shit. And winning a tournament of that caliber, I mean, like, dude, like you win something like that. What else? I don't know what to say, dude. Like, it would be incredible, fucking incredible. Um, Again, a major accomplishment. I just hope that everybody comes out. I want to play all the sharks. I want to, figuratively speaking, I don't want to use that term. I'm vegan, so I don't want to say that. But I want to beat all. I want to beat all the sharks, and I want to be the shark that remains out of the fire, out of the just pit that will be on both the Jazzy stage and the Evo stage when that time comes.
Yeah. When you talk about winning Jazzy and maybe winning Evo, and then there's Evo Japan, right? Like I
Yeah.
immediately think
I
of
got a
horse.
job, dude.
I know.
I can't do it.
Yes.
I gotta take time off of this. I
Oh yeah,
can't
I
travel
know. I
everywhere,
know.
right?
But when
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
thinking about all those 3 events this year, it reminds me a lot of horse racing. It reminds me of the Triple Crown. I think that's what it's called. So in horse racing, there's these 3 big races. I think the Kentucky Derby might be one of them. I think there's an event called the Preakness. I don't know, and I don't know what the third one is. But I know in horse racing, I think every year there are 3 big horse races. If anyone in the chat can help me, please help me. I don't follow horse racing really that closely, but I do know in horse racing there's like the 3 big races every year. And the challenge is always, which horse can win the Triple Crown? Which horse can win the Triple Crown? And so this year is really unique because we have Evo Japan, then we have
yeah.
Jazzy, and then we have Evo USA. How sick would it be if one player was able to win all 3 of them? That would be sick.
I think. Oh, this ties back into what we were talking about earlier. If somebody did something of that caliber, I think there will be no debate that that person would be respected at that time as the number 1 player in the world,
Yeah.
right? Like that's a large amount of data. Man, this person went through Evo Japan. This person went through Jazzy and Evo. USA. He did that 3 times, right? Like if you win one, like yeah, you're gonna get respect and people are gonna say good shit, but there's always gonna be naysayers. Oh well, such and such wasn't there. Oh well, Jazzy was missing these 2 guys. Oh, that evil. Like it always, but like you do that 3 times, dude. Anybody that's talking shit is just a hater, right? Like and they're gonna get out the room, right? So again, more data, right, equals a more validated truth, right? Like, and you can't really like not argue with it. So
Hmm.
that kind of actually that actually goes to my point that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
You know?
it like a larger
Really,
story, another
yeah,
story, a story
yeah,
within the
exactly.
story, which is the Triple
Exactly.
Crown. Who
Yep.
knows what the future of Third Strike holds? I just know that, um, unless the community loses its mind and decides to, adopt, Fourth Strike, but the game's not going to change, right?
It's not, yeah.
Um, and I don't know, in kind of a
Oh
weird
no.
way.
Okay. Actually, Anthony, I'm sorry. I don't mean
Oh
to
yeah,
cut you off.
yeah.
If I'm really being honest,
Hmm.
if I'm really being honest, right? You asked me what would what would you like to see for Third Strike in the next years,
Hmm.
right? Okay, I didn't just you just
Yeah,
kind of like trigger something,
yeah.
a thought in my brain. I thought about this for a long time. What would I like? I would like to see a new game, right? I would like to see a new game. I think, I think I was hoping for that game, the game that was supposed to be the proper successor to Third Strike. I had a lot of hopes and dreams for that to be on 6.
Oh well.
Clearly, that was not the successor for Third Strike at all. But I hope in the future, someday, like we get a game that us Third Strike players can all look at each other and we go like, this is the one. This is the next game. Like
Mm,
it still embodies the values that we have
mm-hmm.
as Third Strike players, but bring something new, right? Like bring something a little bit something new, right? It's familiar and not familiar at the same time. We have not gotten that game yet. So whenever that day comes, like I will be there for it. But until that happens, I'm gonna keep rocking. We gonna keep playing Third Strike,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just what it is. So
Yeah.
that's what I would want in the coming years. Yeah.
What if instead of a new game, new characters? Adding characters to
So the
the
same
existing same game, same mechanic, same engine, but new characters.
Are you like alluding to something? Like,
No, I'm
why are you
not.
smiling like that?
No, I'm not. I don't know anything.
Do you know something that
People
I don't
always
know?
think
Like,
that I know something, but I don't know anything. I'm just kind of doing what I'm doing. But
uh,
yeah, I was just no. But this conversation has
new
come up.
characters?
You've never had this conversation with any other Third Strike player. Like what if they put Sagat in the game or
Not the new characters,
stuff like
no.
that, right? No, but I think like new characters, and
Uh,
I don't mean like. I guess maybe you could bring some old characters, but I mean like actual new characters. I mean, again, it's a different, hardware, but like, who knows what they come up with in the future, right? What if just new
no,
characters?
no. I don't think it's enough.
Mm,
Like, and so I don't think it's enough to for like everybody else. Okay, sure, the Third Strike players, the current Third Strike generation is going to be happy,
yeah.
but again, like when we are playing, like truth be told, like damn, I feel like I should have said a lot of stuff earlier. Like now I'm about to really start getting into my shit. Like
Go ahead,
honestly,
man.
man, like I think Third Strike is so far removed from other Street Fighters,
Hmm.
Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6. Like, dude, like I stopped playing Third Strike for like a good 6 months to play Street Fighter 6. I really tried to give it a chance, dude. Like I tried my hardest. I was lying to myself for that entire 6 months, dude. Like I was telling myself I liked the game, dude. I hated the game. It didn't matter if I was winning or losing. I was not having fun with it at all. I disagreed like at a fundamental level. I disagree with how Street Fighter 6, the premise of how Street Fighter 6 works, right? Um, think that at this point, I don't even think that like First Strike should even have the title Street Fighter in front of it. There's no transferable skills, in my opinion. Like, there's no transferable, like, Third Strike players, Street Fighter, Third Strike, and 6, two completely different games. There's nothing that I learned from Third Strike that I was able to bring over to 6. I would like to see a new series of fighting game. Maybe we just call it Third Strike, right? The Third Strike that we playing is Third Strike 1, right? Third Strike, the next game, Third Strike Second Wave. I don't know. It does not matter, right? It'll be a new game, right? It can have a new look, maybe even a slightly new feel, new characters, right? New design, but it's something that Third Strike players, like, okay, like with Tekken, right? Like Tekken 6, Tekken 7, Tekken 8. Like, I mean, maybe the whole Tekken 8 argument is a little bit different now. There's a lot of controversy with Tekken 8, right? But Tekken, since its inception, more or less has kind of remained consistent. It's Tekken, you know? It may have like a new mechanic, right? But if you know how to play, if you are a godlike Tekken 5 player, right, you can be introduced into Tekken 7 and you can still, you know, like there's going to be some things that change, of course. There's going to be some new stuff, but it's still Tekken at the base layer, right? That's not what Third Strike is to 6, man. Like, I'm of the notion now, like, I don't want to get into like the argument of like, oh, well, Third Strike is like the superior game. I mean, like, I think it's the best game, but like, I don't want to like, you know, I don't want to like try to like minimize other people that don't play Third Strike. But I just think that like the things that you learn from Third Strike, they do not serve you well in these new iterations or like in the current iterations of Street Fighter. I actually think I have this thought now, this theory now, that the things that you learn in Third Strike, the things that make you a good Third Strike player, actually work against you in newer Street Fighters. So I'm of the notion now, I want to just drop the Street Fighter title and we start a whole new series, a whole new saga. We call this shit Third Strike, right? And we just take off from there. We start a whole new universe, man. And I think that would be dope, you know? Imagine, dude, a new Third Strike game comes out, right? And like, you know, it's the Third Strike. Like, it's like going from Tekken 6 to Tekken 7, right? Like, maybe it's a new look, right? But like the mechanics are still there. Maybe they work a little bit differently. Maybe there's like some kind of like new mechanic, but like the whole parry system, like it's what it's supposed to be. This is like the next iteration of like the next game, you know? We have not gotten that yet. I hope that we do get that someday, but
well, really, the most realistic possibility would be an indie developer.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
taking it upon themselves to try and, you know, basically reverse engineer the Third Strike game, but you know, and then create something totally new.
I would throw some money on it.
Yeah.
I would contribute. You know, I would definitely put some money on the what's that website now where you can like contribute money to people's like business ideas and stuff like that. I would definitely throw some money on there.
Well, I mean, you know, we're talking about millionaires in Third Strike. How much do you think it would? And I definitely know I've had this conversation with other people before. I don't know if it's been on stream or just in private, but like, how much do you think it would cost to buy Third Strike from Capcom? Would they even sell the game? Like, I don't even know if it's even possible to actually sell the game.
No, dude, it's going to be impossible. Dude, how are you going to buy the rights to maybe the new characters? Like,
no, just the game, just the game. But then you would probably have to like change the names of the characters or whatever. Or I wonder if anyone's ever thought of.
Okay, so you're saying like instead of like, okay, so like let's say like we buy the game and we make a new Third Strike, right? We can't put Ken in the game, but we can put Kenneth. Or Kenny.
Well, right? Dylan or something. We could give him some other nickname or something.
Robert and Kenneth. Right? Yeah. We put Robert and Kenneth in the game. We make them look a little bit different. We call it, I don't know, dude.
But I think
money to any of us.
Yes. Right? But I think realistically, the best bet of getting a new Third Strike like game, something that maybe is 2D based, sprite based, I mean, really, it's an indie developer. It sounds like an indie developer project. But again, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like maybe we need to call up Ultra David. I don't know what the copyright issues are with that. You know, as far as an indie developer deciding to create basically a Third Strike clone, but with like new characters to suggest that it's a sequel. I don't know if that's
Do
like
you, do you,
they would get into trouble
you
for
think?
that.
Okay, let me ask you this. Hypothetically, let's talk hypotheticals right now. Do you think that, let's say Street Fighter 6, they made Street Fighter 6, it looks exactly the same how it looks now, right, in terms of the graphics, but they made it play more similar to Third Strike. Do you think that Third Strike would embrace that game? The Third Strike community would embrace that game, or do you think that they would shun it?
I mean, what we're really talking about, and you know, maybe I'm just assuming here, and I'm assuming wrong, but I feel like what we're really talking about, Neem, is the parry system, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really
Yeah,
what we're.
in
It
large
comes
part,
down
in
to
large
it,
part.
right? Like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
if SF6 had a Third Strike style parry system? And again, I'm not a game developer, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you know, technical things that you would have to sort out. But you know, I don't really follow many, modern games, but you know, in six, right, you activate parry by pressing, you know, buttons. And so, you know, I don't know, like, yeah, if like the actual Third Strike system was ported over to six, I mean, I don't know. I think it would. I don't really know how it would play. I think it would depend on the characters. It'd be fun to see. I don't know if anyone could actually program that. I mean, you know, you're already activating
Honestly,
parry using certain buttons. I don't know what the difference is between activating parry with, say, you know, punch or kick buttons and with the directional pad. I don't know.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
no, I actually think. I mean, like, okay, again, like I've been kind of. I
Mhm.
don't really pay attention to six that much anymore, but I have been kind of seeing. Dude, like you go on Twitter, dude. I remember like when I was playing six, and I remember like 4 months in, man, I was finally coming to the realization, like, oh, I was finally being honest with myself and admitting I don't like this game. And I was ranting, dude. I was
Mhm.
ranting so much just about like just shit in that game that like I was just like, man, this is not cool, dude. Like I disagree with this on a fundamental level. Like I don't think that like I don't agree with like how this way that you're able to initiate attacks on people, and there was just so many things I didn't agree with.
Mhm.
And dude, I just
Yeah.
like lost my train of thought. What
It's
were we
okay,
talking
man.
about?
We're talking
I feel
about
like I'm
we're
saying
talking about like what if they made like, you know, six same graphics, same presentation, but with the Third Strike engine.
yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. So it's not there. It's not just. I mean, the parry system. Okay, I know. I remember something. The parry system, in large part, is what defines Third Strike. But it's not just the parries in Third Strike that make it Third Strike, dude. Like the way that like you're able to, like the way that like you hit people in six versus you hit them in three, it's different, man. Like it doesn't work the same. It's like it's weird, dude. I feel like in six, it's a lot more like turn based. It almost feels like people like there's people count frames and stuff like that in Third Strike, but I feel like it's a lot more prevalent and a lot more important in six. Oh, this move is +5 on block, and this move is +4. But it's like when you play Third Strike, one, the parry can kind of like invalidate that, right? And then the argument comes, oh, well, parry is random. It's not random, right? But it's like, what happens when you like look at the dynamic of how it works, where like in six, somebody can just like throw out some overpowered normal attack and just like force offense on you. Dude, like I kept telling myself when I was playing six, I was like, dude, these people are like starting these sequences like this would not even happen if they tried to fight me like this in Third Strike, dude. They would just die, you know. And it, I don't know. Like again, like I don't want to say one is right and one is wrong, but this is just like what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think that I think that honestly, that's what I was gonna say. I think that like now what I've been kind of seeing on Twitter is that like I've been seeing a lot of the same complaints that I was kind of like ranting on Discord like 4 or 5 months into the game. Dude, I'm seeing a lot of people saying the same shit that I said now. right? I was saying this shit 5 months into the game, and now people are saying the same things that us. Like, I think, dude, like, I think a way to get through this, right? A lot of people drive rush is too overpowered. Like, people can just initiate offense whenever the fuck they want. A lot of these moves, these normal attacks, are just plus on block, and like people are just like able to just spam. Dude, having a parry that's directionally based versus having an input based parry that has a recovery, it makes two completely different games, man. Like, imagine if six had a third strike parry, somebody initiates drive rush on you, dude. It's a lot more dangerous. It becomes a lot more dangerous for the person that's like
Attacking.
initiating
Yeah.
offense, because they might get fucked up for real.
Yeah.
You know, imagine somebody keeps dashing in every time they dash in.
Well, you can't perfect parry a drive rush. You can perfect parry a drive rush though, right?
Yeah, that shit is dude. I don't care what anybody says. That shit is a fucking guess, dude. It's a guess. Like, people talk about, oh, third strike parry is no. Street Fighter 6 is a guess, straight up, dude. Like, you guess, it's so many situations that you are forced into where you have to straight up guess your way out, and I hate that, man. Like, I hate it, man. You know,
Yeah.
I think, but again, like, the parry is not the only thing that defines third strike. The system of third strike itself is what defines third strike, right? Just the way that attacks are initiated, you know, like how crouch teching works, right? The amount of frames from grabs and how jumps work. Like, okay, you want to know something? You want to know something else that I noticed? Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6, one of the go-to setups I see, how people like bait grabs. They walk up to you, they just neutral jump straight up, right? You know what I'm talking about? How they bait grabs. Nobody does that. You can't do that in third strike, right? That just doesn't work. That's not a thing in third strike, but it works in 5 and 6. In third strike, you do that, you might get hurt for doing that, right? Because like in 5 and like in 6, you can't like dash under people when they jump over you. That's not a thing. I play Ryu. You know how many times I got hit in the face doing that? Right? There's no like trip guard where you can like dash underneath them, and now the person has to worry about like it's a lot more like direct. It's like, oh, I'm gonna shore you, I'm gonna hit you with a normal, you know, and I don't know, man. I just think it's like it's a lot more binary. Street Fighter 6, where air strike is there's another coordinate in place. There's a X coordinate, a Y coordinate. The parry is the Z coordinate, right? And it brings a lot more depth and gray area to the game, because like you can't just rely or spam or just be dependent on the matchup itself, right? Like, dude, I played Ryu. I played Ryu for the entire time. Like, Ryu was the only character that I really resonated with, man. Dude, and there were some matches I was like, dude, this is some bullshit, man. Like, there was nothing I could do, man. Like, I played Ryu versus Dawson, man. Dude, terrible matchup, man. It's like Dawson could do anything he wanted, right? And there was like nothing that I could, like, I throw a fireball, he's going under it, hitting me. I try to jump, he's sitting me back down. I had to just do these like random Hail Marys or like initiate drive rush to try to get something going. And I mean, again, it's only the season 1 of Street Fighter 6, but
Yeah.
I'm just ranting at this point. But
Are you gonna enter 6 at Evo when you go to Evo?
Yeah, I'm gonna enter 6. Yeah.
No, are you really? Are you gonna enter 6 at Evo? You're not gonna enter 6? That could be your persona going into Evo. You could be the SF6 hater. Come see me at Third Strike at Evo.
See me at Third Strike, fool.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't actually really. I probably haven't played it as much as you have. But like, just from like a spectator standpoint, and maybe this is kind of what they were aiming for. Like, just from a spectator standpoint, if you had, you know, a pretty basic understanding of Third Strike, when I watch High Level 6, I do see kind of glimpses. You know, like you say, like perfect parry is a guess. I mean, you know, that you know, people might you know agree or disagree, but like in those situations where, like, say, players are just kind of, pressing the parry during certain ranges, to see if they can catch something. This idea of fishing, right? That happens a lot in Third Strike. I start to see that a little bit in 6. I really do feel like they just tried to combine, like they tried to do like a mashup of 5 and 6, and I think in certain like situations I do see glimpses of the influence of Third Strike, but it definitely isn't Third Strike. And shout outs to this one YouTuber. I forgot the name of the YouTuber, but before the I think the beta had been out for maybe a few months, or I don't know. This was before the official release for sure. But this YouTuber did a really great video on the parry in 6, and after watching that video, that's when I made the decision. Okay, I'm not gonna play 6 seriously. so I didn't actually have to like invest all that time. I just watched this video, like how parry works in 6, and like the first line in the YouTube video is, "Okay, the parry in Street Fighter 6 is nothing like the parry in Third Strike." That was like literally one of the first lines of that YouTube video, and so yeah. Someone in the chat says the risk of perfect parry is almost 0 because you can hold the parry, unlike in Third Strike. Yeah. And then it turns into kind of a shield thing. Yeah.
The risk.
I mean, you can
throw.
You can get thrown. You can get thrown.
Yeah, like if you get thrown while you're parrying, you take a lot of damage. So there is risk there. But like, I don't think that like the parry. So I'm gonna say everything that you just said, Anthony. I understand why you said it, but like again, I think that this is only something that you can really understand if one. So like you already have half of this equation solved.
Yeah.
You have an extensive Third Strike background, right? The next step for you to truly understand what I'm talking about, right, is for you to spend a decent amount of time on 6.
Yeah.
Like nobody, like if you have not satisfied those 2 requirements, you are not qualified to say, like you are not qualified to give an assessment of what it is that I'm talking about, right? Like, I mean that respectfully. Like I'm not like
no, I got you. No.
I'm just saying like I think like those are like the 2 criteria because while it sounds like that on paper, dude, it does not feel like that. Like just the dynamic. Okay, think about this, right? The dynamic of the Third Strike parry in and of itself, right? I would say the act of parrying, I'll be honest, the act of parrying, in my opinion, parrying in Third Strike is easier. But like, there's a huge caveat that just flies over like everybody's head. It doesn't matter that the act of parrying in Third Strike is easier. You just hit forward, right? The thing that makes it so crazy versus 6, they don't work alike. Dude, if I'm fighting you, right, and I know that you can parry and like instantly damage me, and I can do the same, do you understand what type of dynamic comes out of that? It's not like in 6 where like somebody can just throw a million sonic booms and I'm just like at the end of the screen holding down both medium attacks, but attack like if you get normal parry in 6, you can't really do shit with it.
No.
Right?
No.
Like
it's not a steel turner. You don't steel turn to a regular
it's
parry.
Not a steel turner. Like okay, on average, how many parries are there in a round of 6 versus like and we want to say perfect parries, right? Because perfect parries, that's when you actually get something out of it. You can actually steal the turn. Dude, there's like what, maybe 2-3 perfect parries on a round, if that, maybe 0. Dude, in Third Strike, the shit is coming left and right, right? Like, and it's integrated with it's integrated. That's the thing that a lot of people forget. It is integrated within the neutral, right? That's what makes it become so deep. Like, fuck the execution part, dude. Like, you need to understand that, like, when I'm walking back and forth, if I knock you down, if you try to crouch tech, man, you better be careful. You try that. Like, I'll tell you something else. Like, I've played 5 and 6 players, right? That come over to Third Strike. I'm not gonna name names, right? But I've played. There's certain people that I played that are notable players that came from 4, 5, and 6, right? And one thing that I always notice, they crouch tech a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like they wake up and they mash and jab. They bring that into third strike. Man, I've heard these dudes say in person on their streams, man, I don't know what the fuck to do against this guy. I can't press a button. They
Mm-hmm.
don't understand, like, you can't press a button because I'm baiting every fucking time. I know, like, it doesn't even matter if you crouch checking or not, right? I understand the game in a way so that, like, if you are crouch checking something that is so normal and people get away with in these other games, you can't get away with crouch checking like that. There is a consequence, right? So the dynamic that comes out of that is something completely different that exists in any other game because you have to actually really pay attention to what I don't want to say like people in play 5 or 6 aren't paying attention to what they're doing, but like the things that you can get away with in these games, you can't get away with in third strike, you know? And again, I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong, but like this is just like what I agree with fundamentally. And it either resonates with you or it doesn't. And I would just love to see a new game that embodies the principles that we love. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we've been waiting for a third strike successor for a very long time. We have not gotten it yet. You
Yeah.
know,
And then one thing we didn't mention is there is no high low parry, there is no air
yeah.
parry, and so yeah, I think I agree. I agree with you that six is probably not as similar to third strike as some people might initially
The parry is not
believe or
integrated
something.
within
Yeah.
neutral. It's mainly used as a shield to stop just projectiles, to shield you from projectiles, and maybe you can like mash it or press it in between string attacks, but like it's man, like I don't even want to call that move a parry. Like the six version, it's a shield.
Hmm.
When you get the perfect parry, that's a parry. But like that shit, for all intents and purposes, it's a shield, dude. It's not a parry.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like the exact. That was like the contents of that YouTube video I was saying that I watched before the game
I
even
haven't
came out.
seen
Yeah.
that video. I've
Yeah.
been saying this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said this shit months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we
Yep.
kind of the conversation kind of went off the rails. I could see you're very passionate about about the time that you've invested in six.
Yeah.
So who knows, right? Like you said, they're in the age of patching. But I don't know. I think I wouldn't hold our breaths for any major mechanic changes like the ones that we're talking about. But to get back on, Third Strike, we're gonna kind of wrap things up a little bit. But I did want to make sure we talked about one thing, and that is online, Jazzy Online. The first season we're doing Jazzy Online, and so what do you think of Jazzy Online? You had mentioned that you were trying to qualify through points on Jazzy Online, and then you had this opportunity to go to TGZ, which has opened up which has made the race a lot more interesting for the top two spots in Jazzy Online now that you're out of the running because of qualifying. And so, like, what are your thoughts on Jazzy
Well,
Online this
well,
year, and where would you like to see it?
really, what you mean is there's actually one spot
Yeah, that's what I
up
meant.
for
One
grabs.
spot, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, like Nika
Well,
started
no,
at one
okay.
of them for sure.
So mathematically speaking, if the rest of the tournaments were MSF'd here, and Nico won none of them, someone could still get first place. But of course, that
Okay.
probably is improbable. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, tell me a little bit about what you thought about Jazzy Online. You participated a lot during the beginning of the
Great.
season, and yeah.
Yeah. Great. I had a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Um, a lot. It was a high frequency events,
Hmm.
so there's something to look forward to often. It was like what is it, like 3 events a month now, every week, pretty much. Um, like obviously I stopped competing in them after Phoenix, but dude, I'm all for it. I fuck with it. It's definitely good to see people like competing online. I haven't been paying attention to like the rankings, so I don't know who's in the runnings for that second spot. But I'm sure whoever it is, Like, dude, like, I don't know. I don't know if Boa has been competing. I would definitely like to see Boa compete a little bit more. You know, if he is or if he isn't, I don't know. But again, like, dude, there's some monsters, dude, online, man. Like,
Yeah. Well, you brought up the
fucking Resolve,
standings.
dude.
Yeah. Well, you.
Versaga, man. Like, dude, it's like
Yeah.
crazy, man. Like, these dudes is not playing over here no more. So,
Yeah. Well, Versaga's not a Versaga's not. I think Versaga is currently in sixth place in offline events.
oh shit. Okay.
Now, as far as Jazzy Online, um, actually, funny that you mentioned Boa because Boa is technically second place right now.
Oh shit. Okay.
And
There
so,
we go.
if the season were to end today, it would be Nika and Boa that would
Yeah,
qualify for
love
the
that.
Jazzy finale. Right behind
Yeah.
them is Big Game James. We got Poe in the
Yep.
running. We
Yep.
even have EXO.
Monster.
He competed in his first Jazzy online event, I think a couple weeks ago. So he's gonna try to,
Sounds just like you, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you enjoy Jazzy Online. I appreciate you participating in Jazzy this year. And so before we get out of here, again, I just wanted to kind of give you an opportunity to, kind of the floor is yours. What are some of the what are some of the things you wanted to say, shout outs, or anyone you wanted to mention, or yeah.
I don't have anybody specifically
Uh-huh.
to shout out to. Everybody that I rock with, y'all know who y'all are. Keep training. We all gonna keep training. We're gonna keep growing, keep getting better. I'm expecting great results for all of us at Jazzy and at Evo. Once we play the Japanese, that's something that I do want to see. I want to see us become a force to be reckoned with. And kind of really change that status quo that like you know we are to bow down to the Japanese. It's like I bow down to no one, right? Like I respect you, but I do not revere anybody, right? So I'm coming. I hope everybody else is coming. We're gonna get our respect and play Third Strike. It's the best game, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate the time again, Neem, and good luck at the Jazzy finale. Looking forward to seeing you there. Good luck at Evo, and looking forward to Third Strike at Evo Japan, which is coming up in a few weeks. And so, would love to see what happens there. But before we get out of here, I did want to remind everyone that the next Jazzy auto qualifier will be in Chicago. It's the Logan Jazzy Auto Qualifier. Last year, Versaga took first place. So curious to see who comes out on top at the Logan Arcade Auto Qualifier. It happens next Saturday. Or not next Saturday. Yeah, next Saturday, right? Yeah, next Saturday, April 20th at Logan Arcade. Huge thanks to Logan, the entire staff there, the entire Chicago Third Strike and ST crew, for helping out at Logan last year and continuing to support Third Strike at the locals. And so, looking forward to watching the Logan Arcade Auto Qualifier and seeing all that high level Third Strike. I keep talking about the Logan Auto Qualifier last year, named the one that Versaga won, but you were talking about the last Red Bull event, and if I were just to be completely real, yeah, the production was great, but like you could tell that they were trying to replicate something. And the Logan Auto Qualifier had that, organic sort of FGC feel. Maybe the cab wasn't in the middle and everyone was around, but there was, during tournament, there was a cab and all, especially in top 8, all the people gathered around, and I feel like the type of vibe that that Red Bull event tried to replicate was, precisely the kind of vibe that we had organically at a place like
Yeah.
Logan, because when we were talking about moving our auto qualifiers to the local venues, that was kind of our thinking to really give the FGC a different type of experience, because we all know the standard presentation of a lot of these
Yeah.
fighting game tournaments. And
Yeah.
I think, again, like we were talking about, Third Strike can be enjoyed in many ways, but there was just something special about that Logan auto qualifier, and a lot of that had to do with the energy and enthusiasm and the dedication of the Chicago Third Strike players to really treat that tournament with the proper amount of respect, and it only made it feel special for everyone involved. Not just for Saga, but everyone else who competed. And so, looking forward to big things at the Logan Auto Qualifier. Everyone tune in. It's going to be on Vankabot's channel, twitch.tv Vankabot. It's going to be a busy April for Jazzy. So I encourage all of you to head over to jazzycircuit.org and check out the full schedule. And so, again, Neem, thanks for the time. Appreciate you sitting down and talking with me. And, good luck at the finale. And so I'll see you in a few months. And so, by the way, speaking of the finale, you can get your tickets, start.gg/Jazzy3S. Be there. Akihabara is great. Can't wait for you to visit to get to the venue, Neem. And so, yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and end it there. Again, next Tuesday we have Zaffo from Fight Kingdom for one final push for that event. It is going to be a Jazzy ranking event, one of the last few opportunities to gain points. I think I got like fireworks or something going outside my house right now. Man? Yeah, I got some fireworks or something. I hope it's fireworks. But speaking of fireworks, we're gonna go ahead and end it there. And so again, thanks for stopping by, Neem, and I'll see you all next Tuesday. Take care, everyone.
Peace.